It's green for go. They're racing.
He says go.
He says ta-da.
And Tiger Tara roars away from them on the home turn.
Here comes another big boil over.
Equine athleticism at its best. The king is in the castle once more.
This is in one race. The rest are almost in another postcode.
She is a star with a capital S.
It's going to be a triple treat, a miracle three-peat. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed history here at Menangle. What about that?
It's getting right up on the sprint lane and it's going to bolt in.
Hello and welcome. It's that time of the week, time for the Sprint Lane podcast for Harness Racing New South Wales. This is the Sunday session. My name is Greg Hayes. This is episode 102 of the Sprint Lane. Great to have your company again this week. What I do on this podcast, talk about harness racing, predominantly action from New South Wales, focusing in on the main meeting of the week, which is normally the Saturday night meeting at Club Menangle. I chat to a couple of people in the news. I do a full recap of the Menangle meeting, race by race in the Menangle Express. And my old sparring partner, Mr. T, he passes on a few tips at the end of the podcast. He'll be back again today. And hasn't he got his chest puffed out after a good winner last week? He's taken a huge lead with just 1 week of the tipping challenge remaining. The old saying, a week is a long time in racing, was never more apt with so many changes in the Eureka this week. Team Zav, they announced early in the week that they'd come to an agreement with the owner of Major Delight, Peter Lewis, to run in their slot. I spoke with Pete on the podcast last week, and he had his fingers and toes crossed but hadn't heard anything. Well, a couple of days later, the mare's in the race. Ash DeLoza retains the drive, and Emma Stewart's looking for back-to-back victories in the world's richest harness race with 4-year-old mares. Then it's announced Tab will use the RaceNet Discovery event on August 31 to determine their replacement runner for the Eureka after initial favourite Frankie Ferocious was ruled out. Amazing how things can change so quickly. Menangle racing manager David Wanson on the podcast last week talking about the 3- and 4-year-old event being run a fortnight out to determine the emergencies in the Eureka. And we talked about how things had changed from running the Singo last year with John Singleton selecting a runner from the Singo to run in his slot. And Connections didn't have the luxury this year of trying to grab a last-minute spot. Well, all of that changed with Tab's announcement. As with the Singo last year, Tab will select its runner from the race, but the conditions mean it doesn't have to be the winner. Tipping will see an influx of interstate-trained horses heading to Sydney to try and grab the last slot in the world's richest harness racing event. While all that is happening, the favourite, Never Ending, crossed the country, arrived in New South Wales, set up camp at the Rixon Place. Everything's on target for him. I'm amazed he's not shorter in the market, to be honest. $3.80 at the moment in front of Don Hugo at $4.40. Fighter Command at $5. So too Major Delight. Captain's Knox at $5.50. He raced last night. Talk about him later on in the show. I Keep Smiling's an $8 chance. Then you're out to $11 for the Lost Storm. But the rumours around him and the drums beating suggest he might not even be there on the night. So a lot has happened in the last 7 days. So let's update where we were last week. Last week we were waiting for Team Zav and Kevin and Kay Seymour. This week we now await Kevin and Kay Seymour to make their announcement. The Tab will use the race on August 31, and there's a question mark over the Lost Storm. People can have all their opinions on the Eureka, how it's funded, all of that. But this race in just 2 years has created interest, stories, and intrigue. And we are now less than a month away from the second running. This podcast concentrates on what is happening in New South Wales mainly, and I don't know a lot of what is happening in Victoria. I can only read the stories like everyone else. But how sad is the current situation for everyone involved south of the border? Just a quick outline for those that haven't been keeping up to date. The presidents of the Victorian Harness Racing Kindred Bodies released a statement during the week, issuing an urgent and united statement to express profound concern over the future of harness racing in Victoria. The statement detailed a catastrophic loss for the 2024 financial year, additional cuts to stake money, loan borrowings from government using the vacant land at Melton as collateral, and HRV's contract with Sky nearing its end. Now, HRV CEO Matt Isaacs, in response, released a statement stating in the strongest terms that what had been expressed only creates fear and uncertainty among the stakeholders, distracting from the collective efforts to resolve the financial complexity that Victoria is facing. The HRV release states it is reckless of these parties, the kindred bodies, to issue a statement representing inaccuracies and undermining industry confidence HRV, with the support of the Victorian Government, is committed to resolving the challenges with and on behalf of the industry for the future viability of harness racing in Victoria. I haven't done enough research or spoken to enough of the players involved to be saying too much, but I will say how sad it is to be reading information like this. Victoria was once the heartbeat of the industry in Australia. Racing at Moonee Valley was the place to be on a Saturday night. Stakes were high compared to the rest of Australia. Well, quite clearly, New South Wales leads the way for harness racing in Australia, and importantly, prize money in the state is second to none. My thoughts go out to those participants south of the border. There are certainly tough times ahead. Quickly, while talking about Victoria, I read with interest this week about the breakdown in the partnership between Yabby Dam Farms' Pat Driscoll and trainer Anton Galino. The pair have experienced a number of highs in the sport with a range of square gators over the years. Galino travelled frequently to New South Wales, won a lot of feature races here. Andy Gath seems to be the big winner at this stage, with a handful of the top trotters heading his way, including Call Me the Breeze. I don't think it'll be the last we hear from Anton. He's a very, very good horseman, especially with the trotters, and I'm sure Anton will continue to train winners without the support of Yabby Dam Farms. Always like to finish the introduction on a good note. Congratulations must go to Ash DeLoza on being confirmed as the driver of Major Delight in the Eureka, and a big thumbs up to Emma and Clayton for sticking with her as well. It would have been really easy to go with a big race driver who has a lot more experience in the big races, but in my opinion, they did the right thing in sticking with Ash. I said on the podcast last week, a lot of drivers would have panicked last week when My Moonlight Dream took off before the straight and would have gone out chasing, but Ash showed great patience. She drove her own race. She got around the corner. She balanced her mare up. She then went out after the leader. An old head on young shoulders. And speaking to a lot of trainers in New South Wales, that's how they describe her. When most youngsters would throw the kitchen sink at Major Delight trying to go with the leader, she knew she had the best mare in the race and she drove her accordingly. Well done, Ash. I haven't had a lot to do with her since coming back to the media about 12 months ago. I've had her on the podcast once. She's a great asset for the sport. She speaks well. She never knocks back an interview. So well done to Ash DeLoza, who is on the podcast this week. Well, after a wrap like that, you'd be excused for thinking that Ash was, but I'm going to catch up with the source this week of all of Ash's joy, and that's Team Zav, because they've made the decision to go with Major Delight over one or two of their own. Of course, Team Zav is Danny and Jo Zavitsanos. I'm going to see if we can speak to them both at the same time. Should be an interesting chat. Also on the podcast today, I want to catch up with Robbie Morris, the driver of Dangerous Threats. He won like a really good 3-year-old 2 starts ago when he ran 150 in a piece, winning by more than 30 metres. Then he comes out again and wins in 151 and change, winning by nearly 10 metres. What way will they go with him? Do they want to crack at the Eureka? I'll ask Robbie in the podcast and we'll find out what's happening with his whip too on Simply Sam. Did anyone see that? Watching the race, I didn't pick it up. But Bryce McElhenney put something on the Facebook page of Club Menangle about Robbie getting his whip back after the race. He started the race with a whip and he had the whip in his hand turning for home, but finished the race without it. I'll ask Robbie to tell the story and see what is going on there as well. I'll have a look at each of the races at Menangle. I'll tell you what I saw in Search of Future Winners with the Menangle Express. Mr. T will be back with a couple of tips after a strong winner last week. Plenty to get through, but first up, let's hear from Team Zav, Danny and Jo Zavitsanos. Well, we spoke to Peter Lewis, the owner of Major Delight, on the podcast last weekend, and after her win at Menangle, Pete was hoping that she would get a slot in the Eureka. Well, it was only 48 hours later, that it was announced that Team Zav had snapped up Major Delight to run for them in this year's Eureka, and I'm proud to say that I've got Team Zav on the line. Both Danny and Joanna Zavitsanos have joined me to have a chat. Morning, guys.
How are you, Greg?
Really well. A decision to put Major Delight in your slot. It probably wasn't too tough. The mare's in super form, and she just keeps on winning and loves Menangle.
100%. You can't really fold her. And look, as we had an off-air sort of conversation, I was looking to put one of my horses in, but the Petrarca, he sort of fell a bit. I was actually giving him every chance. But after his run the other week, we found out he was a bit sore, and so he was obviously out. And then Major Delight's just going from strength to strength. So how can you not actually put her in? You know, she was. And I did hear that there was other slot holders were looking at her as well. You know, so I thought I better be in there first. And fantastic news for us.
Who does all the negotiations? Is it you, Danny, or is it Joanna? Like, who does the negotiations when it comes to these horses?
Well, look, the horse stuff I normally do, but I always ask my wife, and we have a discussion about it. So you know, we're a team, so that's basically And we just thought, we just thought we'd be looking at her for a little while after her first up win at Menangle there with Ashley on, and I just feel the horse runs for Ashley as well, you know.
So we've had, since last year's Eureka, we're obviously big supporters of Clayton and Emma with the majority of our horses in their stable. So we're always consulting with them, and our advice and our discussions go around, you know, the Eureka is such a significant event in harness racing for Australia. We need to put a horse in there that does the race justice. So Major Delight has definitely been an all-star, especially in her prep. You know, she ran us down in an event last year. Tempting Tigress, she won. Tempting Tigress came second, and you know she really was on the radar from very early on in her career. So she's been a fantastic choice for us.
And the beauty is, last year's winner, Clayton and Emma, 4-year-old mare. This year, you've got a 4-year-old mare trained by Clayton and Emma. You know, there's a little bit of similarity between back-to-back years.
Let's hope the history repeats itself. You know, look, we're very excited to have her on board. She's going to draw well. I mean, it all depends what happens with the tab slot, but at the moment she's going to draw 2 or 3. And also Kevin has to make his decision, but she's going to get a nice draw and hopefully get a nice run and swoop at the end. That's the plan, you know. I was just going to say we've also got another runner in there that we won the Hayden. I'm not sure whether you're aware, with Free Thinker. So we won that. We got the slot up there, and so that horse is racing for us as well, part of the Queensland.
Wow.
For us and Kevin Seymour, So we've got 2 in.
So you've been able to get a second runner. Well, Free Thinker did a fantastic job up there winning the Hayden. So Team Zav will be out in force on Eureka night.
We've got 2 at the moment, and we still haven't written off Oliver Dan there. You know, we're hoping he had a long sort of layoff. He's had 2 runs in now, like for 2 seconds, and I think he's only going by Emma and Clayton that he's going to need a couple more runs there to get to his peak. So he might even have another run and then head to that tab race. So you know, he's a smoky. I'm not saying he'll get in, but you know, you never know.
His run last night was good.
It was very good, yeah. It's the second up. We didn't want to, you know, we just sort of sat outside Keong Tokyo, I think it was, and that horse went good, but had the draw on us, and but to hang on and only get beaten only by a couple of metres, I thought his run was very solid. You know,
So most likely we'll see him here for the for that tab qualifier for them to select their slot runner this year.
That's my plan, and I was talking to Clayton last night, and as long as he pulls up well in that, and we'll nominate, and hopefully he gets a run. I think, so that's the plan.
When you guys selected Major Delight, how much say did you guys have in the driver? Like, obviously Ash has been driving the mare extremely well. Clayton and Emma have used Mark Pitt a lot previously, and would be their number one driver. But it looks like Ash is going to retain the drive. So is that part of your decision, or is that a decision made by the trainer?
Yeah, look. I did ask the question to Emma and Clayton, like, is she going to retain the drive? And their sort of answer was, how can you take her off? You know, she's done nothing wrong. The horse runs for her. So they will, I mean, I don't have that a decision. I mean, I can have my say, but it's not up to me. You know, it's up to Emma and Clayton. But they were more than happy to keep her on. You know, she's just the horse has been flying for her. And I think if you look back after her win at Menangle, but she come and drove her at Melton, so I think that gave you a bit of a heads up that if she did happen to get a slot, she would retain the drive. And, you know, she's done nothing wrong. Yeah, horse is doing super.
How many horses do you guys have? You guys must have a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
You can have a look on the website.
No, I don't know. I think we float between, I don't know, maybe 60, 70, around there. And we sort of dabbled a bit into the thoroughbreds too now. We're sort of involved in maybe 10 or 15 of them, you know, sort of we just shares of them. But, yeah, so we bought a couple of greyhounds too now. We're going to race a couple.
Yeah, we're psychos.
So, yeah.
And, we also do a little bit of breeding as well. So our quality mares with really good bloodlines, we've hung on to them, and we've actually sold some really nice horses. So this year actually, March, so our very first mare, Jodilla, had Foxdan, and he came out and won the Bathurst Crown, which was so fantastic to be able to breed a horse. And, that was amazing.
Good one, yeah.
So with your breeding, do you keep a few, or do they all go through the ring? What do you try and do?
Well, at the moment we haven't. We put a couple through the ring with Ben Stud there. We sort of had an agreement, but I haven't really put a lot through the ring. But I'm sort of looking at it now. I'm sort of thinking, because I'm starting to breed. I think I've got about 12 mares to breed this year, and I'm thinking I probably can't. I'd love to keep them all, but you've got to sort of. I'm actually thinking of putting some through the ring, and you know, So that's I really haven't given that 100% the decision at the moment. Yeah.
And what about your thoroughbred? So did you have all different trainers, or do you stick with the one trainer? How did you get involved in that?
Thoroughbreds. Oh well, I always liked the horses. I was actually into thoroughbreds first in the early days, but you know, just shares. But I had no luck, and then a good mate of mine, Paul Fox, that I've actually gave him a share of actually Foxdown that won the Bathurst. He was always into the trots, and I actually got first interested in the trots when Golden Rain won. Was it the New Zealand? I think it was a New Zealand Inter Dominion back then, going back. And so I've always liked them, but thoroughbreds, I started buying a few shares, and I just had no luck with them, and then I went full steam ahead into the harness about 13 years ago, and then just the last sort of couple of years I've just had some mates, had some business partners up in Sydney there. We've sort of bought some shares in some young horses, which is okay. I guess we're sort of having I've got them sort of spread out. Nick Ryan, Trent and Natalie McBusserton. They've got some Anthony Friedman. So we just got them, you know. We'll see how we go with them.
So are your racing interests a little bit of stress relief and a bit of fun for you guys away from your business activities?
It's a bit of fun for Danny.
Yeah.
And it's a massive investment. You know,
and it's a stretch for my wife.
I didn't say that.
No.
I said investment.
Yeah. It is a bit of we work together, so you know, like it is. For me, I just use it as an outlet, you know. But I do.
As we're growing, though, it's definitely become with the Eureka. It's really allowed us to expand that interest.
Yep.
And bring people along with the journey. And, you know, hopefully, look, we've got, Danny's always been looking for a stallion, and hopefully we've got that in Petrarca. And it really would have been, you know, his prep was focusing on the Eureka. It's just really unfortunate that he's had a small injury now that, you know, we need to look after him. He's a fantastic horse, and we would like to breed with him long term, and hopefully that pays dividends for us. And if we happen to come across another foal that becomes a stallion, then that's wonderful. But that really is our intention, has been in the last couple of years, and having the slot in the Eureka has been fantastic. It's really piqued some excitement and passion in me because I absolutely love events. With a background in marketing, I always used to host some events, so being able to bring our little bit of Victorian element to Sydney and put on a show and be a part of that is fantastic. And this year we've got the Tanya Harris marquee for Team Zav, so that's very exciting. So we'll have the colours all up in lights there, and watching it from the straight, just fantastic, really exciting, really exciting.
It is all about an event, the Eureka, and the slot holders have to play their part by promoting it, and you guys do a fantastic job, so you should be congratulated for that. Fox Dan, we haven't seen him since Bathurst. Where is he?
Yeah, Fox Dan. So after Bathurst, we gave him like a let up, hoping to get a start in the Prado Star, and as we were getting him back, he hit his knee, so he had a little, he scraped his knee. It wasn't, but it really set him back, and we did actually try to race him 2 or 3 times here in Victoria, but races weren't standing up or they fell over, and so basically, but he'll be back in the Vic Bred, so he'll be racing in the heats in the Vic Bred, I think it's next week or the week after. So he's ready to go, and by all reports, he's come back well, so he'll be right up there.
Well, guys, thank you very much for joining me today to have a chat. It's been great, and I can't wait to catch up with you guys when you get here for the Eureka.
Thank you, Greg. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
27-7, but he's rolling on the favourite. Then comes Ray's Redemption, always be chaps at the head of the others. 300 metres left to go. It's Dangerous Threats. Try to put a gap in them like he did last week. Double Fear has no answers at this stage. To the outside is Our Goat, Collective Works, and also Applied. But with 100 metres left to go, Dangerous Threats is going to run them into the ground again. Dangerous Threats, way too good, and we'll do a space job on them.
Dangerous Threats, he is definitely one at the moment. He's driven aggressively, and he's putting massive margins on his rivals. Robbie Morris is the man driving him, and he's joining me to have a chat. Morning, Rob. How are you?
Morning, Hazy. Thanks for having me.
No problems at all. Dangerous Threats. He's racing extremely well at the moment.
Yeah, he is. We've sort of always had a pretty high opinion of him, but he's just one of them things after another. When he was a baby or 2-year-old, he just went a little bit of a miss after the Red and the Blue last year. So we elected to give him a bit of time and let him grow up, and it's really come to the forefront now. I think in disguise.
Is he the sort of horse that needs to be driven aggressively? He responds to that drive?
I think he enjoys it. He's actually early days. I actually thought that that's all he really would like to do. You know, he's quite strong and probably didn't strike me to have a lot of high speed, which I thought would always come against him. But as he's got a bit older and he's got a bit more mature, I don't think he needs to be driven that way. It's just I haven't really been in that big of a hurry with him early. It's just the way the races have shook out early. I've had to make a few decisions just to get in front of the right horses or get on the right helmets going forward. So, look, I don't think he needs to be driven that way, and he showed that probably last night getting home in 27. So, look, it's hard at Menangle, obviously, with the way the races shake out early. You just got to be up there and be in the right spot or on the right helmet. So I don't think he has to be driven like that. It's just the way it's probably panned out.
That 32-metre margin 2 starts ago when he went 150.4, did that surprise you, that time?
The time did, I got to be honest. I knew he was well, and Kerry and Josh were very happy with him, and the whole team was happy with where he was at. But for him to go out there and do a 50-mile like that, and the way he did it, no knock on any of the horses behind him. I think there's a couple of nice horses there, but don't really know how the time matches up to the race and those sort of things. So I'd like to see him race a bit better company horses and do it. I've always been a big believer that times are great, but they're not everything. Sometimes it's what you beat around you as well. So, look, he ran that 50-mile, but we're not going to hang our hat on that. We need to as he gets older, the races are going to get stronger.
So, in saying that, did it change his order or his ranking in the pecking order at the stable? Or nothing changed? You just, the time was surprising, and you just keep on keeping on with him.
No, I don't really look at it like that. I don't like to compare them. We're very lucky. This year we've got a big quality 3-year-old, American Spirit, and him. I think Minos is probably still the benchmark for our 3-year-olds. To run 2 derbies this year, and the Queensland Derby's run was terrific, and the New South Wales Derby was terrific. So, we're extremely lucky there with the crop of 3-year-olds we got. And I think American Spirit's a nice and great speed, and obviously Dangerous Threats has come out and done the job in the later half of the year. So, yeah, we're very lucky, but I don't like to compare them. They're all doing their job, and super happy with all of them.
So, where to next? There's a backdoor entry to become a you can now the way the Tab's putting their slot up into the Eureka. Will you go that way, or are you going to keep him right away from the Eureka as a 3-year-old?
Yeah, look, I think it's a great concept, and it was definitely something that we had to think about. And but I think at this stage we're going to just stick to the 3-year-olds with him. Obviously, he's by for a reason, so he's bred in the blue, so that'll be his next target. And obviously the heat for the Eureka falls somewhere around that, so his main target's always been the bred in the blue, and we're going to stick to that. And American Spirit's at home. He'll have a trial this Wednesday at Menangle, and he'll probably be aimed for the heat of the Eureka. So
the team's obviously happy with American Spirit and how everything went up in Queensland?
Yeah, right with him. Obviously, he's run 2/5 in the derbies. He's really come on. I reckon his gate speed's got him in good stead, and he follows speed really well. And obviously being an Australian-bred horse, I thought it was a logical with him. And then his challenge after that. We'll just see how it pans out. He is Victor, so we've got a lot of options with him as well. But at this stage, we're going that way. And Minos is actually out in the paddock. He's going to have a good 6 or 8 weeks off and get ready. Hopefully the Chariots are fine next year.
You've got some very nice 3-year-olds in the stable. You've talked about all of them. In regards to a 3-year-old into the Eureka, been having a bit of a debate about this on the podcast for the last couple of months. Do you reckon it's too big an ask for 3-year-olds to be taking on the 4-year-olds in the race?
I do personally. Yeah, obviously I'm a bit up in the air with the. I just think it's so hard. I think the proof's in the pudding with what we've seen so far. In the Rising Sun, those races that are the same sort of concept on a smaller scale. It's just so hard for the 3-year-olds to line up against the 4-year-olds. The heads are hard. Looking at it the last, when these races come up last 3 years, the Rising Eureka, it's just so hard for him. The only horse I've ever seen hold his head above water as a 3-year-old was Leap the Fame sitting outside Ladies in Red in the Rising Sun. And he ran 3rd, and I think he's the best horse we've seen, and probably going to be the best horse we've seen for another 50 years. So I just think it's near impossible. I think it's a very hard task, but when those things are there, you've got to sort of have your shot in different ways. I'd probably, if you did happen to qualify a 3-year-old, I think you just got to be sensible and drive them to them, and really cuddle them and just hope for a split late, because I think if you get into a war with a couple of them 4-year-olds, it's very hard.
Simply Sam, what did you make of his performance last night? You started the race with the whip. You didn't finish the race with one.
Yeah, Nathan Jack stole it. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, he wore a mask last night. But no, I was really happy with Sam. The way the race unfolded early, it was going to be tricky. I didn't really need our money rocks galloping out, which sort of put a spanner in the works, because if he didn't find the front, I would have been cover on typo, or if he did find the front, vice versa. So once he galloped out early, it just changed the whole complexion of in a real bad spot, which I didn't want to be in. But they went 50, he was one wide. And turning for home, me and Nathan Jack, I've never seen it before and probably won't see it again. Our crackers on our whips come together at about the 400, and my whip went with Nathan's whip, so he ended the race with 2 whips. So, it was something that you don't really see very often, but if you watch it closely, it sort of was a little bit funny turning for home because he just snatched me whip straight out of my hand. But anyway, that's racing, and on the next week.
Mate, some good judges have told me there's a good 2-year-old trotter in the stable.
Yeah, Lotus Louise trialled yesterday. He looks to be progressive. Obviously, he didn't race early. I would have liked him to be in the he showed me a lot. He just went a little bit amiss and he needed a bit of a holiday, just growing pains and things like that with baby trotters. So we let to look after him. And, he trialled well yesterday, actually. They had to put a trial on for a couple of horses that needed to qualify to get ready for the Blue before the first. And he just followed him around. But he come home fairly strong for a 2-year-old trotter and he felt really good within himself. So he'll have a trial again Wednesday week and then hopefully lead towards the Vic Bred Heats. I think they're on the 4th of September, Kerry said. So hopefully he's there.
And another one for Mick Boots.
Yeah, another one for Mick. He's been a really good supporter of mine and Kerry's for a lot of years now. And, we don't have a lot of racehorses for him. I think actually just Lotus Louise and Minos are the 2 racehorses, but we've got a stack of yearlings that have had a couple of preps ready for hopefully big things next year.
Mate, I saw just quickly before we wrap up, he's a treacherous back at the races during the week. What's the plans?
Yeah, he was really Tuesday. He'll go on to Breeders' Challenge now. Kez will have to sit down and work out. He'll probably have one more start before the Breeders' Challenge. But really happy with how he spelled and he's come back and he looks to be sharp. So, obviously the 2-year-old colts are really strong this year. So looking forward to that. And, it's going to be a bit of I think they said highlight reels Breeders' Challenge and Fader Weights is Breeders' Challenge. So there's a lot of good quality colts around. So it'll be good racing, but looking forward to getting him there.
And Pete's Crunch Time will be aimed at that as well?
Yeah, he will. He's a very progressive horse, Pete's Crunch Time. I think he'll be a 3-year-old sort of next year for us. He's lovely, big, bold, moving horse. He just probably lacks that little bit of high speed right now, but I think once he gets fast right and gets a bit of speed under his belt, I think he'll be a nice horse going forward.
All right, mate. Good night at the office with a very strong win with Dangerous Threats, and we look forward to seeing him racing again very soon. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, mate.
It is time for the Menangle Express. Race 1, fave was Miss the Truth at $3.50. Speed early from Mac Da Vinci, About Time and Star Major. Mac Da Vinci got down to the peg. So on the markers, it was Mac Da Vinci, About Time, Major Jealous, Montalbano, Portout Prince. Running line, Star Major, Boom, Miss the Truth, Loyalist, Canina, Provlima. 27-1, 28-8 the first 2 quarters. Speed looked to go on at the cages and second over Boom. Looked to spin the wheels. He just couldn't pick up as the speed went on. He lost about half a length. That disadvantaged Miss the Truth, Loyalist and Canina Provlima. 27-8 round the side and into the straight. Star Major levelled up with Mac Da Vinci. Major Jealous got off the inside and was starting to make a run at them. Miss the Truth had come around Boom and was starting to hit top gear. You had Loyalist, Canina Provlima coming at them wider as well. Star Major had set up too big a break, one getting home in 27-1 for a 150.8 mile. Miss the Truth is ready to win with the right run. Loyalist savaged the line from the rear. Canina Provlima was just cruelled by the draw. He's ready to win as well. Montalbano, good late, taking gaps. Think second, third and fourth all win very soon. Race number 2, the fave was Pitch Perfect at $3.30. Speed early from Arden's Ace, Total Diva and Pitch Perfect. I wouldn't have been surprised to see Arden's Ace take the sit on Pitch Perfect like he does every week, but Bailey McDonough wasn't keen to hand up to Total Diva, so he kicked through and held the front. Pegs, it was Arden's Ace, Double Act, Roll Up, Running Line, Total Diva, Pitch Perfect, Sahara Sirocco, Little Bliss, Unfazed, Jillaby Nitro and High Voltage. A lot of speed early, 26 seconds for the first quarter, but then the speed went right out of the race, 30.5 and 28.7 for the third quarter, which really helped the leader. Turning for home, they fanned. Unfazed and Jillaby Nitro got wide, started to wind up, but Arden's Ace kept kicking on the inside. Double Act came around the leader to have a crack. Sahara Sirocco tried to pounce from third over, but the leader kept kicking. I was very close to chasing down Tony Birtwistle for the podcast today. He's done a really good job with the horse. I spoke with Tony at the Cowra Carnival of Cups last year about his return to the sport after he left to run a Hog's Breath cafe from memory. He had great success with a mare called Nydia back in the day, who went to the US. So well done to everyone with Arden's Ace. Unfazed and Jillaby Nitro, both very strong from the tail of the field. Unfazed has his hoof right on the till. Maybe the first quarter took the sting out of Pitch Perfect. He looked to have his chance. Final quarter, 27-4, 152.6 overall. Race number 3, My Ultimate Snowy, was the $2.20 favourite. Speed here from Vinky B. Jo Tomo. Came out for a quick look, but was happy to jump in behind the leader, or behind Vinky B anyway. Colonia Courage came out well, and My Ultimate Snowy was caught 3 wide before racing around them to find the front. Marker pegs, My Ultimate Snowy, Vinky B, Jo Tomo. Cash and Bling, running line, Colonia Courage, Mick Danger, Captain Tom, Ideal Marquess. 27-2 first quarter. They backed it off quickly, 29. Speed lifted to 28.5, but there were no moves which played into the hands of the leader. Captain Tom waited for the straight before launching down the outside. My Ultimate Snowy kicked away, set up a big lead, then Captain Tom just couldn't reel it in. Final quarter, 27-4, 152 1 mile. Thought the second horse was the run of the race. Flew from well back in a fast last quarter in a race that was run to suit the horses on the front. Mick Danger, he came out of the 1-1. Good drive. Thought Ideal Marquess was a bit plain off her win last week. Things didn't go her way when she had to ease back to last. I think with her lack of early speed, she becomes a bit draw dependent, especially in this grade. Race number 4, the fave was My Moonlight Dream at $1.33. This was the rent bet of the week. With Major Delight form, she looked the best bet of the year. Speed early from Norwester and Constantina, but it was Constantina who crossed. My Moonlight Dream didn't get involved early, but progressed forward and was always going to go searching for the lead. They did go into single file over the mile as well, so it was My Moonlight Dream, Constantina, Norwester, Mini Minette, Charlie's Ace, Winona Ryder, Gwyneth P, Maria Alagonda, Eloisa Dale, Good Time Maddie. 27-1 first quarter. They backed it right off to 30.1 through the second. Surprised someone didn't come off the pegs until the 700, and that was Good Time Matty at the tail of the field trying to get something to go in front of it. Seaton did the Seaton shuffle. He took off around the corner. He put them out of their misery. 27-9 around the side. My Moonlight Dream was home and hosed. 26-9 up the straight for a mile of 152. Never in doubt. Wasn't asked to do anything in the straight. Mini Minette came to the outside in the straight. Got home well for second. Winona Ryder, honest as usual. Ran another placing. Constantina Norwester did their best to hold on in the straight. Maria Alagonda hit the line well in the straight. Think they found her best racing pattern. Don't use her at all early. Race number 5, the fave was Captain's Knock at $2.70. As the starter said go, Our Money Rocks and Malcolm's Rhythm locked wheels and they were out of play. So speed from Captain's Knock, Max Delight and Typo. Max Delight crossed Captain's Knock and then was happy enough to let Typo go. So on the pegs, it was Typo, Max Delight, Captain's Knock, JOK, Where You Been Boppin'. Running line was Simply Sam and Pete Said So. 26-7 first quarter was fast, but the speed did drop to 29-2 in the second. No moves in the small field, but the speed did go on in that third quarter. 27-4 around the side. Typo rolled off, as it does, which gave the run to Max Delight. Captain's Knock was able to get off the inside and go out and chase the leaders. Pete Said So tipped from second over. JOK went back to the inside looking for a run. Max Delight went up on the inside. 26-8 final quarter. Isn't he an old marvel? They paid big bickies for him when he was a yearling, but he's been a great horse for so many seasons. 150.1 the win. Typo good. Captain's Knock really liked his closing finish in the fast time. Favourite punters probably disappointed, but 150.1 making ground late. Oh, I think he's right in the Eureka. JOK is racing well. He needs to go back in grade, but he can win soon. Race number 6, Dangerous Threats, the $1.28 favourite. Speed here from Ray's Redemption, Collective Works, Double Fear, Dangerous Threats. Double Fear got the front, but was happy to let Dangerous Threats get the lead. So on the pegs, Dangerous Threats, Double Fear, Collective Works, Ray's Redemption applied. Debonair, Sarah DeSloy, Mondello Beach. Running line, Our Goat, Always Be Chaps. First quarter 27-2, then 29-4. Mondello Beach came off the inside to race third over. At the cages, Sarah DeSloy gone. So too was Always Be Chaps, and the leader was off for the prize. 27-7 around the side. Collective Works looked to be travelling. It was a long way off, but had a bit to give. Had to wait until there was clear air. And so too back in the field, Debonair looked to be travelling well. Dangerous Threats brained them. 26-8 final quarter. 151 1 mile. He goes towards the blue, as Robbie said in the interview. Collective Works went back to the inside, got second. Good run, needs it a bit easier. Double Fear tried hard in the straight. His speed early helps him in races of this quality. Our Goat was out on its feet but held fourth. Debonair, really strong late after getting way too far back and caught up in some traffic on the turn. It is one worth following out of that one. That is Debonair. Race number 7, it's the trot, and Super Service was the favourite, 165. Leaf Stride just went rough for a couple of strides as the starter said go. Didn't gallop. Down Under Earl did. Speed from Electra Jet and Super Service, but Super Service rolled to the front. So on the peg, Super Service, Electro Jet, Vixen, Pharisee, One Magic Kenny. Running line, She's a Pleasure, Aldebaran Jensen, Leaf Stride, Speedy Lover. 28-8, 29-9. Death Seat, She's a Pleasure, gone at the cages. So that forced out Aldebaran Jensen and Leaf Stride a lot earlier than they would have liked. Super Service set up a pretty handy lead as a result, started to head for home, 28-6 around the side. And while the back markers started to make up some ground, it was pretty easy in the end for Super Service up the straight as it raced home to score by 6.7 metres. 28-7 final quarter, 155.6 the mile. Speedy Lover, good up the straight. Waited until they got to the top to let go, but made good ground for second. Aldebaran Jensen held third in a blanket finish in front of Leaf Stride and One Magic Kenny. It was probably the one to have the least luck in the straight, One Magic Kenny. No room to move at all and looked to have something to give. Winner looks a nice trotter. Bread and butter type. Race 8, favourite here, Terry at $1.85. Now, it ran last in its race last week, but it did hit the line really well, and I did highlight it in this segment a week ago. There was speed early from Lochiel in this one. It crossed to the front, but Cam Hart straight off the inside to go for the retake with Terry. Pegs, it was Terry, Lochiel, King Tiger, Has the Courage, Ryan's Gangster. Running line, Sunday mornings, Surf Ace, Wave the Bill, Tishan Raider. 27 first quarter. Speed dropped off, 30.1 second quarter. Cam Hart put the foot back on the accelerator through the third quarter, 28 seconds, and that blew the engine of Lochiel, who was gone before the straight. Surface, Wave the Bill, Tishan Raider fanned. Ryan's Gangster galloped, which made room for Has the Courage. Terry was never in any real danger in the straight. Wave the Bill tried hard. Has the Courage got home well for third. Final quarter, 27-1, 152-2 overall. So, all important awards for the meeting. Best win, My Moonlight Dream. She had a fair bit on the field, but toyed with the rivals. Never really asked to extend in the straight. Nice mare with ability. I said it earlier, Seaton, he did the Seaton shuffle. He took off at the 500. Nearly held off Major Delight last week doing it. No Major Delight in this race. Of course, Seaton didn't drive the horse last week, but they are the tactics that he likes to adopt. Best beaten effort of the night, Captain Tom. 57.5 middle half, set it up for those on the front, and he rocketed up the straight to be beaten only 1.8 metres. Going well, will win one soon. Honourable mention to Unfazed, who's flying at the moment. Also, Kanina Provlima. They both were honourable mentions in the best beaten effort of the night. And best drive of the night, nearly all of them led. Star Major sat parked. Max Delight came from behind the leader. So not an easy one to pick this week. I'm going to go with Bailey McDonough this week on Arden's Ace. The cheat sheet on him says get to the front and hand over to the first one there and get a soft trip and hope for luck. Well, McDonough changed things on the fly when Total Diva was the first to appear. Didn't want to hand over to it. He used his brain, and it was the winning move. So for showing some thought, I'll go drive of the night, Bailey McDonough.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Winning. Hey, that's pretty good.
Winner!
That was legitness.
That I say, all right. Wow, winning.
Bam! Just like that. That's all there is to it, Dustin. That's all there is to it. A winner! Just like that.
And the winner is
Mr. T. He's the winner. He leads with a week to go. So he's minus $36 and I'm minus $79. So he had chock-a-block getting the job done on Tuesday at Young at the juicy odds of $4.50. So next week's podcast will be the final one of the winter season, with spring starting in a fortnight on the 1st of September. So we're having a competition over the seasons. I won the first round. This is round 2. Mr. T's got a nice lead, so he's trying to level up at 1-all. What's he got for us this week? Race 5 at Bathurst on Wednesday. Number 1, Savion. Low flying, this mare for Ash Syker. Should have won at Menangle last start. Just got caught up in the ruck at the wrong time. Good speed. Should be able to protect that inside and should take a lot of beating. That's race 5, number 1, Savion. And race 8, number 3, Sweet Edition. First starter for Amanda Turnbull. This one by Sweet Lou. Doesn't Mick Boots love a Sweet Lou? This is another one for him. 2 trials to date. Has won them both and only needs to bring that form to the races to be winning on debut. So race 8, number 3, Sweet Edition. I need to make up a few dollars. So, Menangle Tuesday for me. I'm going to go race 3, number 7, Casbar. I'm going to go with the brand. I made it my horse to follow in the Menangle Express going back a couple of weeks ago. Probably we're not going to get luxurious odds, but we haven't seen the horse since. I did say that it'd be breaking its maiden at its next start, so I'll stick with Casbar for Dwayne Serena Cameron Fitzpatrick. That's race 3, number 7. And this one might be the one that if it lobbed would get me over the top of Mr. T. Race 4, number 10, Rainmaker. I'm going to go for that Hail Mary. Ian Wilson and Jim Douglas drew the car park, or has drawn the car park, but its last run was pretty good. It got caught up in the chain reaction when the horse outside the leader galloped. It went back and cannoned into Cattler's Dream behind it, and Rainmaker didn't gallop, but it took away some momentum, got down, chased hard, ran past Cattler's Dream late. Similar field here. The draw is a killer. It's now drawn 10, but I'll go with Rainmaker in race 4 and hope for a bit of luck. Race 4, number 10, Rainmaker. That just about wraps up the podcast for another week. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Must give a mention before we wrap up to Jared Alchin, who won the Q-Bred trotting final for 3-year-olds with My Ultimate Sonny, driven by Will Rickson at Albion Park on Saturday night. Will ran second in the Group 1 3-year-old fillies final on Ever Art in the Q-Bred for David Thorne. So not a bad night for Will, although he probably gave up a win or two at home. Cam Hart back out to a 10-win lead in the Premiership. So Will got close, but Cam back home after being in the States, and a totally different story as he stretches back out to a double-figure advantage. Big thank you to Team Zav, Danny and Jo Zavitsanos for coming on the podcast this week, and also Robbie Morris as well. Have a great week, and I'll speak with you next Sunday for the Sunday session.